All right, commissioners, if we could mosey on back in the room, please, if you are within earshot. Sitting to Karina first. Yep. That's right.
I'm right here. I can sit.
I was like so done. All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and begin. Welcome, Dream Diné, to your renewal hearing. I hope the commissioners had a chance to rejuvenate a little bit after our morning session, and this is our last school for the week. Can you believe that? We made it through. We almost made it through. So I'm going to go over the agenda briefly, and then we're going to go ahead and jump in. So Dream Diné, the first thing that we'll do, we'll hear from the Public Education Department, from Ms. Chavez or one of her team members about the evaluation that you've all received, and she'll provide that final evaluation. We'll then move into tribal consultation. So this is an opportunity for either somebody from the Navajo Nation or from the Department of Diné Education to share their thoughts about Dream Diné. I'll also share a little bit about what I've done prior to this to reach out. We'll have school comments. This will be a chance for you to provide 30 minutes of an overview of your school, and then we'll move into public comment after that, and then we'll move into PEC questions and commentary from us, and then we'll finish up with our vote on renewal. So with that, Director Chavez, take it away.
Good afternoon, Yate. Good to see the room full of people in support of the school. Welcome, Dream Diné. Thank you, commissioners. My name is Karina Chavez. I actually will not be providing the PED's evaluation of the school. I used to work for NISN and had a connection with Dream Diné at one point. So I've been there. I've been to Shiprock and seen the school. When it first opened, I was part of the struggle to get it open, which is a complex thing when we think about opening up a school on a tribal nation. It's like, how many people do you report to, right? So in this case, the PED, to some degree, the local district, and certainly to the Navajo Nation. So I just want to say, I hope that everybody has, that the hearing goes well, and thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Brower and Commissioners. My name is Cheryl Rowe, Authorizing Practices Administrator for the Charter Schools Division. I'm here to provide the PED evaluation for Dream Diné Charter School. Dream Diné opened in 2014 as a PEC authorized school, renewed with Central Consolidated School District in 2019, and they are returning to us for their second renewal or first renewal with us. Our CSD team, Dr. Bridget Russell, Lucy Valenzuela, and I as site leader, visited the school on October 17, 2023. Dream Diné has been through some rocky times and we're very hard hit by COVID. However, the school is rising above those challenges as we observed during our visit. We found competent, dedicated leadership and staff, engaged learners, and beautiful homage to Native American tradition. A humble school residing in Navajo Nation, their programs seek to preserve Diné language and culture, to foster respect for the land with a robust gardening program, and to build a foundation in core subjects. The Charter Schools Division recommends renewal for 5 years with the following conditions, which are based on criteria required by law for charter renewal. Condition 1, by not consistently having the required number of governing board members, Dream Diné violated a provision of law from which the charter school was not specifically exempted. Therefore, Dream Diné will continuously have 5 or more board members serving on the governing body throughout the charter term. The school will follow PEC governing body notification protocol without exception. By the end of each fiscal year of the charter term, all board members will have completed all required training hours. Condition 2, Dream Diné will complete a transition year checklist by June 30th, 2024. This is a checklist designed to ensure compliance with NMAC and NMSA and to promote effective academic, financial, and organizational operations of the school. The recommendation is based on the record of the school's performance over the course of the contract term, more recent adult actions to make improvements as described in the school's application, and verification of those actions and improvements by CSD during the renewal site visit. For example, the head administrator has hired a reading interventionist who is conducting ongoing professional development with staff to improve student outcomes, and a literacy plan has been submitted to PED and approved. Dream Diné submitted evidence in their application that students' performance has been improving. Meanwhile, recently released NM Vista's data confirmed this, revealing that Dream Diné's score significantly improved in the last 2 years, from 11 to 45, raising them from a designation of CSI to traditional. In addition, the governing board has recently added a 5th board member, and just in the nick of time, Dream Diné submitted a full petition of household support for your review. In terms of proficiencies, compared to the district, Dream Diné lags slightly behind in ELA, but outperforms the district in math and science. According to NM Vistas, Dream Diné realized an 11% growth in math in 2022-23, when the district and state had 0% growth on average in math. On Part B of the renewal application, their ratings were as follows. They met the standards on tribal consultation. They demonstrated substantial progress in student outcomes, educational program, financial compliance, and equity and identity. While they are strong in equity and identity, they still need to establish an equity council. They failed to meet the standard in governance requirements, which has been addressed in our recommended renewal conditions. Finally, when evaluating Dream Diné for renewal, the CSD feels that it is not fair to hold schools accountable to standards that have not been clearly communicated. Their current authorizer did not do annual visits nor provide annual reports. We feel it is important to give the school a chance under the PEC where they will have clear authorization. The superintendent of Central Consolidated has kindly submitted a letter of support for Dream Diné's continuation as a charter school under the PEC. Furthermore, our assessment of Dream Diné exemplifies the importance of looking at the whole picture, conducting site visits and focus groups, and using both quantitative and qualitative data to evaluate a school. The scant data that was available over the course of their term does not tell the whole story. The story we learned during our visit was one of resilience, learning, and hope. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Ms. Rill. Before we move into tribal consultation, I did want to also say, I neglected to say this at the beginning, that I wanted to, I believe most commissioners know this, I do have a connection to Dream Diné, or I did have a connection. I was on their governing board from, I think, 2020 to 2022. So once I became an elected official in December of last year, I came off of that board. both for my own self-preservation of time and space continuums. Even though I could be on that board, I felt like I needed to come off of that board. And so after consulting with Ms. Barnes, our attorney, I do believe I can still be impartial today, given it's been over a year since I've been part of that school. With that, I want to move on to item number 2, which is tribal consultation, including members and families of students attending the charter school pursuant to NMSA 22-8B-12.2 C and D. And so as the commission, like any other district or other authorizer, when we are contemplating a renewal or a potential closure, which could be one of the scenarios for today, we need to do proper consultation that is clarified within the statute that I just mentioned. And so both myself and I believe Director Chavez did reach out to the Navajo Nation, particularly the Department of Diné Education, DODE, to clarify and provide an opportunity to consult. So tribal consultation in this case is not like the tribal consultation that happens between the state government and the government of the Navajo Nation. It's different in that way. So I wanted to clarify that for those of you who know what tribal consultation is in the most important way. And so I did reach out and I talked to Dr. Ferlin Clark. He did mention that there was going to be somebody from DODE who would be here today or present over Zoom to provide consultation. There is an opportunity also for families and students to share here or within the public comments as well. So there's opportunities in both ways. But I wanted to just share that I did have that conversation with Dr. Clark and the DODE team. Ms. Chavez, did you want to share anything about what you did with tribal consultation from the charter school division side?
Thank you, Chair Brower, commissioners. I also, first of all, want to say that I don't know that there's consensus on the definition of tribal consultation. And so, but I think what it is it's about respect, right? And so because the Navajo Nation is where the school is situated, and because in law it says that PEC and PED conduct tribal consultation, I felt important to give the Department of Diné Education a phone call and let them know about the renewal process and speak specifically about the tribally impacted schools that are related to students that come from the Navajo Nation. So on Friday, October 27th, I had a 1-hour phone call via Zoom, at a Zoom call with some members of DODE, including Matthew So, Shayla Yellowhair, Suzette Haskey, and Roy Tracy. We had a good meeting that allowed me to share the fact that Dream Diné and another charter school that was reauthorized earlier this week, Middle College, were up for renewal, and that as in accordance with rule that PEC must conduct consultation with the tribal nations when the possibility of school closure exists. And because the possibility of school closure is inherent to the charter school renewal process, the possibility of charter school closure exists. So I let them know that at the point that we talked, that it was unclear what would happen with the school. I shared the preliminary recommendations for both schools, let them know that it is PEC that has the final decision-making authority. We reviewed the renewal process and timeline, and spoke a little bit about Dream Diné and Gallup Middle College. At that time, DODE did say that they felt that the schools had conducted tribal consultation. And so I shared with them statutory language that related to each of those things and showed them where on the PEC's website they could access the renewal applications and any other materials that are associated with the renewal process. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in the room who is here to speak on behalf of the Navajo Nation or the Department of Diné Education? Or is there anybody online? Missy.
Roy
Tracy?
Tracy is online.
Gotcha.
you like him to be promoted to the
Yep, for
panel?
sure. Hey, Mr. Tracy, thank you so much for joining us. The floor is yours to share the perspective of Dodie on behalf of the renewal process for Dream Diné.
Okay, thank you, Chair and members of the commission. Thank you for inviting the Department of Diné Education and the Navajo Nation to the floor. We are currently on travel and in business, so let me just try to address some of the concerns. From the tribal consultation standpoint, the Navajo Nation is enacting ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, Section 8538. That's the definition and processes that we go through with all LEAs and charter schools that serve Navajo students. Again, that's ESSA, Section 8538. There's the first section speaks to Title VI programs. The second section speaks to Titles 1 through 7, JOM, and other supplemental funding that schools get. And we have a very stringent process. As a matter of fact, we have a manual that New Mexico PED has adopted, and you'll find that on the PED website under Office of Indian Education. So Dodie, the Navajo Nation, firmly advocates for equity in the Indian Education Act, as well as believing that ESSA Section 8538 supersedes the SEAs and the LEAs, and it's a federal government relationship between sovereign tribes and the federal government. Hence, that's given the power to tribes to conduct tribal consultation. In the consultation process, we look at a number of budgetary performances that the schools share with the Department of Diné Education and the tribal consultation team. We also have a strict data reporting system in which we've captured, this is our 7th year, I believe at the time, conducting tribal consultation. So for schools like charter schools like Dream Diné, we understand they operate under different regulations and authority governed by the commission. And we believe that Dream Diné serves a unique set of students in a unique situation as they are sponsored. I guess that's the term by Central Consolidated School District. There has been some issues there, which the consultation team has made recommendations to both CCSD that maybe Dream Diné should seek direct consultation from the state instead of being a third party in a sense to CCSD. That would alleviate some of the administrative challenges, and I think that was mentioned earlier. You know, Dream Diné has come from a particular area on the Navajo Nation that has been devastated by COVID. And I've heard people say that, you know, stop making excuses about COVID. That might be so in a first world environment where medical institutes, emergency institutes, things of that nature, paved roads, you know, electricity, running water exists. But as we all know on the Navajo Nation, where there's still some third world conditions in rural areas. So we believe that because Shiprock area is still developing in its township and such, I think Dream Diné serves a unique group of parents that want to provide a good education for their children outside of those New Mexico school districts. The Diné Education, especially in the area of Cognia, my office, the Office of Educational Research and Statistics, and JOM specifically, because we've offered funding for charter schools as well. we're very concerned about the state overall performance of students, performance in ELA and math, including science. And we've been very adamant with the governor. We've been very adamant with Arsenio, secretary, and Indian Office of Education. And so, you know, we've been monitoring Dream Diné, and we feel that, you know, they've performed exceptionally well in the area of tribal consultation. We guide schools, not just charter schools, but LEAs as well, and their superintendents on issues affecting the equity of funding distribution, whether it's salary for teachers or salary for projects, after school programs, curriculum development, curriculum performance, staff qualifications and such. So these are some of the areas we sort of nitpick. And so in a general sense, if we were to look at Dream Diné's overall performance, they performed very well, considering the condition and environment that they have operated in. COVID is still an issue, okay? I want every one of you commissioners to understand that. It is still an issue on tribal nations in New Mexico. So we also not only advocate systemically, but we also ask the president of the Navajo Nation, the speaker of the council, and the respective delegates to make those type of points at legislative sessions to the governor herself, as this is a government relationship that we have with New Mexico State. And so we like to remind the commissioners as well that you also respect that area. And as the commissioning board, you know, you have a purpose. You also have a set parameter, but we also ask that the equity of those parameters do not always meet tribal nations. And so it's comparing student performance, you could say Caucasian student performance, as opposed to the 2.1% Native American representation on the NEAP reports. There's no equity in that. So if you're holding schools accountable, we ask that that's the tribal consultations team predominant authority is to speak on Diné language and culture. And we use Title 10 as a sovereign nation to hold state commissions, school boards, LEAs, SEAs accountable. And so we just respectfully ask that you be favorable and have some equity in your decisions today. And we believe that Dream Diné is on the road to recovery and producing some good students that come from that area of Shiprock and the Navajo Nation, Northern Navajo Nation area. So commissioners, I appreciate your time. If you have more specific questions, I am with the superintendent of schools for Diné education, Claudia Edgewater. I also have our JOM director, Suzette Haskey-Overly. And I also have the Cognia director, Dr. Shayla Yellow here. So Commissioner, Chair, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tracy. Is there anyone else who would like to speak from the tribal perspective? We did have a school this week that did have several different leaders that were in the room as well, but I just wanted to check. Great. Thank you so much. So we're going to move into item number 3 on our agenda, which is the school's opportunity to present to us. So the school comments. So we'll have about 30 minutes. I'm assuming you already connected with Missy if you had any multimedia presentations. And so Ms. Chado, the floor is your team's.
Good afternoon.
And as you introduce yourselves, if you don't mind just starting with your name and then spelling it the first time that you address us so that we have that on the record. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I'd like to have the video shown first. Thank you.
Can you go ahead and introduce yourself and just spell your
Oh,
name real
I'm
quick?
sorry. My name is Nadine Chado, and I'm the head administrator at Dream Diné Charter School. My name is spelled Nadine Chato is spelled CHA.
What I like about this school is what we learn here is our culture. I like that the school was going recess and learning about national language and arts. Well, my teacher's nice, and that whenever we're done with all our work, we get to play with our toys and
When I first learned about this school, my daughter, she's in second grade. So when we were coming back out of virtual learning in class, I was looking for a school to place her in. And this is one of the schools we toured. And when I first toured the place, I really liked the smaller classrooms. It was land-based, and it really involved Diné language and culture.
I think that everything that we do really centers around our students and their families and their community.
the classrooms are nice, and you can learn a lot.
One of the things that we really focus on is our Diné language and our culture, and helping to build that into our curriculum, into our academics, into just our overall organization.
We learn about how to do the shoe game. And we play games that go with the stories. We were learning about soil, water, and sun, beans, corn, and squash.
I think one of the other things that we really had to focus on and really look at, how do we better understand our students, putting academics aside, thinking about their mental wellness and how to build up their self-esteem, get them to have good social skills. All of that is integrated into our lessons and what we provide in the classrooms.
I know that's something that they really like here. And I know parents like that as well.
You can make a lot of friends. There's better, nicer teachers. Nicer teachers. We have the net culture.
So for the future of Dream Diné, I would first off like us to be a state charter. I think that opportunity will open a lot of doors, have access to different types of funding, to just work on building our school up. And with that, I hope that we can then focus on getting a new facility that would house an increase in our enrollment. You know, right now we're really small, and not a lot of people know about us.
My name's Andrew, and my favorite thing when I come to school is learning. Sometimes I get lost over there because it's like a big high school over there, but over here, I like it more. We like STEM and free all the plants. Laptop. We use laptops for ourselves.
Having that autonomy to design our curriculum and decide what we put in front of our students, it's really important. And I think that in helping them to know how important they are as Diné people.
Thank you. Again, my name is Nadine Chato. No dai Diné Nishlin, Nakai Diné Bashichin, but Ani Dashanella Chisha Dashite. I have with me here one of my board members, a teacher, a couple of individuals who help us with our charter school, and I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
Yate, Commissioners. My name is Dr. Geneva Becenti, Geneva Becenti. I'm not Kaiden Anshne, Deshchitni, Bashichin, Ashin, Dashanalitana Bethni Dashache, Hotai Sanshne. I'm also the NISN Diné Language Mentor and Apprentice Program Director.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Andrea Thomas. That is ANDREA THOMAS. Bitani Shle, Klugge, Bushes Chin, Kitla Chitni Dishache, Twitter Koja Dashanella.
Yate Anotsa. Good afternoon, Commissioner and Chair. My name is Danielia Allen, DANIELA, Allen, ALLEN. Izathlanin Shlon, Zitlatni Bashichin, Twaheglini, Dashache, Dots, and Sakadni, Dashanala, with Alice Shle.
Good afternoon, Commission. My name is Derek White. I'm the Director of the School Design Fellowship with the NACA Inspired Schools Network. Potawatomi Nishle, Ashin Bashichin, Kikaput Dashache, Tizatana Dashanala. Thank you.
Thank you. The next slide, please. These are the individuals that work with the school. I am the head administrator. Our governing board, Danielle Allen is our president. Donna Fernandez is our vice president. Virginia Kirk is our secretary. Veronica So is the treasurer. And our new member is Gavin Sosa. Office manager or business manager, I'm sorry, is Charlotte Archuleta, and she'll be joining us on Zoom. Our reading interventionist teacher is Andrea here, and then our NISN support are Dr. Geneva Becenti and Derek White. Next slide, please. Our mission statement is the foundation of our school. It's a place-based elementary school where the Diné philosophy is well embedded in our daily lessons and our daily lives. Through our Diné language and our dual language program, experimental learning program, we nurture strong, compassionate, bilingual young students, and then we hope that they take that with them when they move on to another challenge in their life. Next slide, please. I'm going to give the floor to Andrea. She's going to be speaking to the academic framework.
Thank you, Commissioners and Chair. So when we look at our academic framework, we look at our VISTA scores from 21-22. You can see there that we scored an 11, which placed us as a CSI school. And to begin, I think that the problems that attributed to that score had a lot to do with what was mentioned by Mr. Tracy, that our families who are really involved in the process of the decision-making of during that time where Navajo Nation had restrictions in their schools and they closed down schools, so they were in virtual learning platform for a year. Following that, the parents, along with the school, decided that they wanted to transition to a hybrid model, still considering that, you know, our families, we have multi-generational homes, families that come for our students that come from these families and these homes, and to be understanding of their circumstances. And so with that, we had hybrid, and it wasn't until through that time in the hybrid, as students started to come back, teachers as well as the families themselves started to understand the importance of the in-person teaching and how valuable that was. So by the spring, once, you know, people started to get more comfortable, we started to, you know, really let families know that their child was safe, that we had things covered, that we really wanted to have their child back. We went straight back into in-person in the spring. A month later, we took the state testing. Many of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders that took that summative test had been in a virtual model for a long time. And some of those students who came to Dream Diné, they came from schools that were continuing to stay in a virtual setting, and they didn't want that. And so that's why they came to our school. And so we were trying to figure out how through the relationships we were building with the students and with their families, that I believe that that's what the scores reflect. So with that, our solutions, once we received that, knowing that, our students made growth in their development overall. That's not reflected in the data, in those summative scores, because it's looking at proficiency only. But when you look at the individual growth of the students themselves and where they came from, that is not seen, but that's something that we knew as a staff and teachers. So our solutions, the first one, once we looked at it, received it, used the summer, went back into in person, we started to think of it as our baseline. Okay, this is where we're starting over. We had a new administrator, and it was our time to really get things moving. A shift in mindsets for teachers, students, and families. And with that, it really, what were we needing to do? We needed to increase the rigor. We need to have some accountability of our student attendance, getting our families to have their students to come back in and to increase that. And then for teachers, how do we have multi-grade level classrooms. And so for teachers coming in, how are we going to respond with these grade levels and these different students? So the mind shift. Next was really increasing our professional learning committees, our PLCs. Because we are such a small staff, we all work together and everyone is included in that process. Even our custodian, who's our gardener, and also, so getting him involved in that process. And so with that, with our PLCs, it was listening to what the needs were in our individual classrooms. What kind of development did the teachers need? What kind of strengths did they have? What did they have to offer that we could do our own in-house professional learning development? Because we are unique and we have the multi-grade levels, it's, we're having to design that in that process, and we collaboratively did that. Next was into a data deep dive, like really focusing on how are we going to use the summative assessment, looking at that, looking at our interim assessments, and how we are going to get more consistent at reviewing that data as teachers, but also putting that back on our students. How do students understand it? In addition to their families, because we needed to be partners in all of the success of their child. So with that, it was offering parents an opportunity to understand the types of assessments that were happening in the school, interim, common formative assessments, biweekly assessments, getting them to understand the term and what they could do to support. And that was very valuable because a lot of the time, many of the parents didn't understand, what it was, why we were doing this. And once we shifted that and really paid a lot of attention to that, in addition to the students began to take ownership of their learning. And teachers, we could constantly have conversations throughout the days of how we're shifting our instruction. How are we better meeting the needs of our students? With those data-informed decisions, we were able to really focus on evidence-based interventions using the MLSS, like really focusing on layer 2. I think that one of the things we really noticed is that the MLSS model and the framework is exactly what our Diné culture is about. I think it's embedded. Everything when you go through it, it's just a natural process that we have that we already inherently put into everything that we do. So that, it became, because of our small classroom sizes, all of our teachers being Diné and coming from the community that they teach in, we were already able to either meet with them in a small group, individualize, or for the students to be able to work with their peers and at a grade below them, a grade above them, and it allowed them to teach one another. And I think all of those things are really valuable, and students felt like they could shine through that. I think again, to the professional development, it is in-house. We have some great teachers who've had experiences in different types of school systems, and so that they've been able to bring that to the table. And so as we're coming together, we try to have, shared resources and highlighting or trying to focus on what were some of the needs that we needed to focus on. And as you're aware, our reading was our big thing that we needed to go back and we needed to focus on. Math, naturally, I think as Indigenous people, as Diné, we are hands-on, we're visual learners, and that is just a natural thing. The kids love math. That's, so how can we connect the importance of reading to math? And that's where that shift as well with students is with the students and getting them to understand how important reading is. Many of the students that were in 3rd through 5th that have been taking the assessments, unfortunately missed out on those foundational skills when it came to phonics. So we implemented Hegarty this year, and because that was what was missing. We were trying to do as much as we can, but we figured through all of our teachers attending letters, being a part of letters, myself as like a literacy coach in connection with the PED, we have really worked on going back and reteaching those skills to all of our students because there is that gap. I think that that's the part that we're really noticing that the students struggled with. And so with the attendance, our attendance has currently, from the time that it was in 2022, has increased. Our parents understand our students. They show up early. 7:30, we open the gates and they're there, and it's constant. They know now that we're going to check in on them. We're going to ask them what support they needed. And I think that that was the big improvement we made last year. What do you need from us? What's going to help you? What can we do to best support you to make sure your child is here? Like they can't get better if they're not here. And so parents have worked with us. They've tried to make appointments in the afternoon. They communicate with us regularly. They know we're going to reach out to them at any point. And one of the other things that has benefited is that we do not offer transportation, so the parents have to bring their kids. So in the morning when they drop them off, we're able to have conversations with them. When they pick them up, we open the door, we see them, we talk to them. So there's always multiple opportunities to talk with families. And that, I think, has helped to build a stronger relationship and partnership, which has improved attendance. Yeah, and so currently all of those priorities, everything that we're working on, we're making progress, and it's a success. Thank you.
Thank you. Along with the attendance, I just want to touch a little bit on it too. Our teachers and our students created a hummingbird pledge. In that pledge, they vow to make sure that they're in school all the time, every day, coming early and staying the entire day. We've given them opportunities to celebrate. Teachers will celebrate with their students if they make perfect attendance for the week. And we've also implemented standard-based field trips, at least once a month. We also have developed a parent academy with the majority of our parents. Right now, we have 2 parents on the attendance for parent academy. And in that parent academy, we make sure that our parents are being given the information about what's happening at the school. So in a lot of ways, they're like, we're educating our parents about the school system. And our hope is that when they finish the program, that they will spread that news to other schools, or not other schools, but other parents. And then bringing, the idea that it is important for your student to be here every day. And this is what we offer them in the school system. With that, I'm going to give the floor to Ms. Daniela Allen.
Again, well, hello, Commissioner, Chair. Again, my name is Diné Allen, and I sit as the Governing Board President. I'm currently in my second year serving on the board and just recently took the position of president in our governing council of Dream Diné Charter School. And as a parent, I feel like I needed to invest my time and effort in my child's education. So joining the board was a huge step for me. Dream Diné Charter School has worked hard at maintaining board members and is currently recruiting to fill a few more vacancies. And in the process, the board will also reevaluate the bylaws, roles, and responsibilities of our governing board members. We're partnering with NISN with assisting board members with purpose, intent, and mission aligned goals, and continue to do strategic planning at quarterly meetings, local PEC meetings and trainings, on-site board development, and stay 80 to 90% in compliance with our training hours. Just recently, a few of our governing board members attended the PCSNM conference, and all our members currently are up to date with their training hours. That is required, and we will continue to stay up to date through each fiscal year of the charter term. Thank you.
Okay. I believe Charlotte Archuleta is online right now, and I'll give the floor to her.
Hello, this is Charlotte Archuleta. I'm losing my voice, so excuse me. You spell my name Charlotte. Archuleta is Archuleta. We did have 4 findings in 2019. In 2020, we did not have any findings. In 2021, we had 2. In 2022, we had 5. But one was a finding that we received because the district was late in filing their audit. So the auditor said they had to include it in our findings. They were all non-compliance findings. And the reason why we had 5 in 2022 is because we had a transition in staff. So it was like a learning process for the staff. We are financially stable. We have good cash balance. We receive a lot of funding. We get a lot of grants. And there was a question on here regarding the small school size. We plan on filing or applying for the impact aid funding to help with any additional expenditures that we need for our move or additional staff that we will need for the future. We also have a grant writer, and having the grant writer has allowed the school to hire a reading interventionist, a bilingual teacher, additional educational assistants, tutors, and a bilingual storyteller. The teachers have also received additional professional development. We do receive all of our 95% of our funding comes through the district, and that's the service that they provide for the school. They supply us, they float the funding through them to us. And we have not received additional support. Nadine might have, but financially we have not. They just flow the money through us. And we do receive Title I, Title II funding, but not the Title III. And we do receive, we used up all our ESSER funding. We do receive special ed funding that flows through the district. But we are financially stable, and it looks like the school, hopefully we can move and grow and become a successful Diné charter school. That's all I have.
Thank you, Charlotte. Archuleta. Go ahead and go to the next slide. This area I will discuss. Equity and identity of our charter school includes the Diné language and culture. What we're trying to do right now is revamp our curriculum so it's specific to our location, Shiprock area. This is also a support with the Martinez-Yazzie mandate that we provide the language, Diné language and culture to all our students. Our students we have 99% Native American in our population in our school. We also have the SEL, the social emotional learning that we are moving forward with. We also talked about the tribal consultation. Another thing that we've also added is the all students get free lunches and free breakfast, and that's supplied and supported through Central Consolidated School District. Another thing too is that we have a little bit of leverage on our end because we have a couple of our members in our school that are Navajo Nation Board of Education members, including myself. I represent the Eastern Agency, and then Andrea Thomas is also representing the teacher voice. So we have lots of equity and identity going on in our school. I will give the floor next to our Diné Language and Culture Director, and she'll talk more a little bit about the equity and identity. Thank you.
Yeah, commissioners, I just wanted to put your attention to the handout that I gave you. We've been fortunate to get a Dream Diné on board, and I'm really excited in working with them along with NACA, Sixth Direction, and also I just wanted to let you know that this is a legislator's state grant that we are funded by, and it's basically to increase the Diné language teachers with a certification of 520. And the goal is to make sure that the New Mexico students are talking and speaking their language and practicing their culture, just as the Dream Diné's mission and goals are. So the other part is, a part of the training is an interactive curriculum that we've been working with an inquiring program, and also working with residential elders that are coming in and bringing their culture foundations to the schools, and then aligning that with the families and communities. And so we're also working with DOTI, the Navajo Department of Education's certification program, and we've brought in the first host that Dream Diné did was they host us at their school, and so we brought in some of the contractors that we contract with. And so if you can go to the next slide, is bringing in, again, the leadership out of the site partners. Leadership has been really, they stepped up to, when they didn't have their language teacher, they stepped up themselves. And so they use the core principles of our program, which is basically our evaluation in developing their language programs. And then also part of that is that their budgeting is 20,000 just to cover their apprentices. And then also part of the recruiting marketing budget is to help them sustain their language teaching teacher in the school. So we help market from July to August. And so that is basically from NISN. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer that. Yeah.
Real briefly, per the conversation yesterday, and the commissioners who weren't able to be there, from the NACA Inspired Schools Network, we've been providing a Growing Together fellowship for the last couple of years, focused on continuous development and mission-aligned goals. So as Board Member Allen mentioned before, in the spring, we're going to be meeting regarding some strategic planning and helping to really tighten up the board development and making sure that we have some checks for them moving forward around trainings and making sure that the committees are functioning and serving their purpose to limit the opportunity for those financial audit findings to happen by collaborating with the head administrator as well as the financial director. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, staff.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, the next part of our agenda is to hear from the public, to provide public comment. And so we have been starting with Zoom first. And so Missy, is there anyone on Zoom that has signed up for public comment?
There's not. Commissioner Brower, Chair Brower. If anybody would like to give public comment, please raise your digital hand. Oh, we have Steve Carlson.
Mr. Carlson, go ahead and unmute yourself. And if you don't mind stating your name and spelling it for us, then you can proceed with your comments.
You bet. Can you hear me?
Yep.
So my name is Steve Carlson, S-T-E-V-E. Carlson, C-A-R-L-S-O-N. I'm the superintendent of Central Consolidated. I have met with the Dream Diné team here on a couple of occasions. And I just want to make sure that folks know that Central Consolidated, and we support Dream Diné in their quest for authorization with the state. We've been able to witness their initiative and dedication. And also we're very much in support of their vision of language and culture revitalization. I think that's super important for the Diné people. And that's one that's shared with Central Consolidated as well. I think we've developed a rapport with the current administration of Dream Diné, and we'd like to continue this relationship as they move forward. We believe that a solid partnership between CCSD and Dream Diné only serves to make both of us stronger. So just in case you didn't catch it, we are very much in support of their authorization with the state.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Next, we have Angel Yazi.
Hello, my name is Mercedes Yabini, MERCEDESYABENY. Angel Yazi is my son. He goes to school at Dream Diné. And I just wanted to add that I graduated with my bachelor's degree in elementary education in 2018. So the year and a half before that, I have worked with almost all the schools in CCSD in Shiprock, Kirtland, and Farmington when I was doing my student teaching, getting hours. And one thing that I really noticed that I loved about Dream Diné that is different than all the other schools is that the Diné teachings is part of the curriculum there, but at every other school, it's a choice. If you want to go to Diné, if you want to learn it, if you want to leave class or pick it over another like band or something, you know. So most kids that are in the regular school district, they don't want to take it because it takes over their band time, PE, or their extracurricular activities. And when my son was at the regular CCSD schools, he was neglected by his teachers. In kindergarten, he got in his first fight. He didn't want to go to school, but when we transferred to Dream Diné, everything changed. You know, he's really smart now. He loves going to school. He knows more Navajo than us. I was also born and raised in Shiprock, been to almost all the schools too, and I don't know any Navajo. I was one of the students that didn't want to take it. So I'm glad that my son is there. You know, he's always coming home trying to teach us stuff that he learned. So thank you.
Thank you.
We have 7 speakers in the room. The first is Megan Lee.
Hello, my name is Megan Lee, Meganlee. My daughter Mason attends Dream Diné Charter School as a kindergartner. We chose the school particularly for their small classes and their focus on Diné language and culture. Mason's learning so much academically with the one-on-one she's receiving in the classrooms. We've seen her progress and excel tremendously since the beginning of the year. She's been speaking more Diné at home, and she's teaching us a lot. So we feel confident in our choice in enrolling her and keeping her enrolled in the school for the next few years. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee.
I think we're going to have students come next.
You can just say your name. I won't make you spell it.
Winston, Mason, Shaylin, Elijah, Aiden, Ajikopachin is in stand and face the east. Gedo Hajado, Shamana Hassan, Yeah, get Hajado, Shiki get Hajado, Shinarent, I touch a Hajado, Sinzai get Hajado. Hajanasti, 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 Hajanasti. Najanako neto ahyegonte ahojateko. Gana taibajit easy stand and face the flag. Kaya aslat digo badahazogi benanate. Ayashishili go baja ala ajoba dosia senyate. Kaya asla ade asla dinane. Yeke dozen benajit ke ajoba bazili berahinita. Hummingbird pledge, I will make academic growth in reading and math. I will have good attendance by attending school daily. I will participate in class. I will have good behavior and attitude.
Okay, good luck following that. Tanya.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Tanya Kaibatoni, TonyakaiBetony. Okay, I'm kind of nervous. So anyways, my daughter Shaylin is a third grader at Dream Diné. This will be her second year. Back in October of 21, we lost her mother. So I took in the 2 younger girls with me. When I first got her, I put her at a public school, and it was really hard for her. She wasn't learning. She wasn't up with the grade level of her kids. The kids were, and learning, she wasn't at that level. So I talked to my friends and families, and a lot of my friends mentioned Dream Diné. So I took her there. The positive thing I really liked from Dream Diné was the learning activities, the hands-on, how they taught them to grow vegetables and fruits, and then they would eat it and stuff like that. But of course, my main thing was the Diné culture and the teachings I wanted for her. But also, I knew that it would benefit for her for a smaller class environment. She has improved a lot since she's been with them. And I'm thankful for the teachers and the parents that have positive support for her and give her. She also gets excited because she knows her readings has improved a lot. Her math has improved. Just a couple of weeks ago, she was like, "Grandma, my scores went up." And she was happy. So, I know that switching her to that school was positive for both of us. So I do continue to keep her there until 5th grade, I believe. And also, I'll be sending her younger sister there next year because she'll be in kindergarten. Okay, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. And you did great.
You did. And you'll notice I didn't try to pronounce your last name. So, and I say that in reference to, I hope I don't get this one incorrect. Joni Nels? Joni?
Yad she Joni Nails Unisha, Natodon Tetrin Inishla, Tavashin Torichin Industry, National. Hello, my name is Joni Nails, ZHONINELLS. I am the substitute / EA at Dream Diné. I first found out about Dream Diné Charter School in May, late May of this year. I had just graduated with in a different field, and I decided that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to teach. So I went to like a job expo for they had schools there, and Dream Diné Charter School was there. And what caught my eye out of all those other schools that were there was that they told me that they really instilled the Diné language in their school and within the kids, and the Diné culture as well. And I kind of was hesitant, and I wasn't sure. So they said, come visit the school. And I'm like, okay. So I went and visited the school, and they really did do that there. I went to school in Farmington all my life. So just like what Angel's mom was telling us, we had a choice whether we wanted to do Diné language or not. And I really like how they don't have a choice there, and they're not shy. They don't stray away from the language. With every kid that's there, they love to use their language, and it makes me emotional because even just watching the kindergartens walk, and just to hear them talk to each other, and one will turn around and say "Tilo," and and I never did that when I was little, and it just restores my hope for Diné language, and that's what I love about the school. And thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do have a couple more people in the room, but we do have somebody also online. So we'll go to Mrs. Dannison.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, hi. I'm Daniel Dannison. I'm here with my wife, Lanya Lee Dannison. And on behalf of Dream Diné, we like to say a few things. Our daughter was enrolled with at Sabillage Community School since preschool into 3rd grade, I believe. The pandemic happened, and they had lack of teacher support for one-on-one learning, and she fell behind. And we felt that she needed the one-on-one, and Dream Diné provided that. and she accelerated and is learning the language too. Excuse me, I don't mean to get emotional, but
the school helped her get to where she's at right now, and that's what I loved about, or that's what I love also like about the school, is because they did one-on-one. They made sure that she got all the education and all the support she needed from the teachers, from the substitute teachers, from the student aides to even the principal. And they made sure that they put in a plan for her to get to excel so she could move on to the next stage, to the next grade. And you know, that's what we really appreciated about the school. And not only that, the fact that they input all our Diné culture, the language, the, you know, how to plant, which my daughter loves, and all of the programs that help not only to excel in school, but to excel for the future, and to expand her mind, to use her culture to help her along the way in her life. And that's what my husband and I really like about the school. And I don't think she would have been where she's at right now if she didn't get the support, not only at home, but especially in the school environment, if we didn't find out about Dream Diné. We found out about Dream Diné when we went to a little Easter egg fair thing at the youth center, and they told us about the programs that they had, and they gave us a lot of hope for our daughter, and we really appreciate it, and that's what my daughter needed, and they were there for her. Thank you.
yeah, one more thing. Also, the culture, the Native American culture, you know, is slowly going away, and this school, Dream Diné, is encouraging the teachings that was passed down from us, from our elders, and our daughter's grandparents got to participate with her in learning the culture that in the classes that she attended, the sewing, the storytelling, the the extracurricular activities that included the native language. She has really reconnected with her elders, her grandparents, maternal and paternal. And I think that's a really good positive thing that Dream Diné offers. And like I said, you know, we're very grateful, we're very glad that we sent her there. You know, the pandemic did happen, and you know, now she's starting to get her footing back and move forward in a positive way. So I do believe Dream Diné can help any family out there with any needs, and they're fully capable and competent in what they teach, both academic and culture wise. I think it's a positive place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Dennison.
Next in the room, we have Maria Lansing.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Marla Lansing. It is spelled M-A-R-L-A, Lansing, L-A-N-S-I-N-G. I am currently Dream Diné is office manager. I've been with Dream Diné for 1 year. I do have a letter that was presented to us by the Navajo Nation Council delegate, Dr. Andy Nez, with the 25th Navajo Nation Council It's
Can you bring the microphone just a little bit closer? So
It reads, Dear Public Education Commission, as a member of the Health, Education, and Health Service Committee of the 25th Navajo Nation Council, I support Dream Diné Charter School's second reauthorization. Unfortunately, I am unable to attend this meeting due to our biweekly scheduled Nabikit, not, sorry, Nabikit, yeah, that's it. Committee meeting held each month in Window Rock, Arizona. However, Dream Diné is one of 2 New Mexico charter schools on the Navajo Nation and offers exceptional learning opportunities for their students, parents, and communities through unique community-based models. Dream Diné was the first elementary school on the Navajo Nation for the past 10 years, has flourished within the community of Shiprock, New Mexico, which is the largest community of the Navajo Nation. Dream Diné continues to offer strong language and culture curriculum for not only its students, but for parents and the community. These opportunities are coupled with parental and community involvement, which makes the school the oppidum of the academic and cultural success. Additionally, Dream Diné continues to consult with the Navajo Nation Department of Education and NACA-inspired school network and others to further its successful outcomes. Dream Diné is home of the hummingbirds, and in Diné teachings, hummingbirds are carries of prayer, strength, and tendencies, which is true representation of this school. Again, I support Dream Diné and their continuous efforts to provide academic and cultural education to their entire stakeholders. Thank you for your support and advocacy on behalf of our students, family, and staff and community. Respectfully, Dr. Andy Nez.
Thank you.
Next, we have Carrie Sells.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Carrie Sells. That is spelled Karrie, last name Sells. Yat she Carrie Sells Yidishye, na kaidina nishle, to haglini bashichin, but ani dashiche, do kiani dashanele. I have been with Dream Diné for about to be 3 years now. I am the kindergarten and first grade permanent substitute teacher. So when I had originally applied with Dream Diné, I came on as a teacher aide. But as the year went on, I worked with a level 3 teacher and I observed her throughout the whole school year. I mean, I watched her like a hawk. And she showed me so much. She explained everything to me. She helped me when I had questions. So she was one of my first role models. You know, she was a great teacher. But she wasn't the only one. These ladies here, Miss Thomas, Nadine, they're like my mentors. They showed me everything. So I recently went back to school at a college in Shiprock. Then I almost said Dream Diné, Diné College. I am currently there a student for the teaching program, hoping to graduate and come back and teach our kids. So yeah, that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then last on the list, but not least, Charisse. I'm not going to try your last name either.
Hi, my name is Charisse Aloysius, Charise, last name Aloysius. Yat, my name is Charisse Aloysius. My daughter is Constance Torres. She's a 4th grader at Dream Diné. We started from a BIE school from Shiprock, which is Sassy Schools. And then the pandemic hit us hard. They were losing teachers and doing different learning, which they wanted us to teach our kids. And I could not do that because I was having a hard time raising a toddler and trying to go back and forth to a room and teaching, helping her learn. And then I heard about Dream Diné from a community member from Shiprock, saying how they teach, they make their kids learn about native languages, and my daughter's half Pima and half Navajo, so that's what I wanted her to do, is learn both her languages so it won't disappear. We've been at Dream Diné for 3 years now. My daughter loves to teach the younger kids and learn from the older ones. My daughter loves that she learns the native culture while learning math and English. She has learned so much and enjoys the school because it's different from other schools. Also, I've learned to work with other families and their kids, which shows my daughter and Dream Diné students to teach their future kids how to be a part of their education and work together with other families. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who may not have signed up? We've let other schools provide other commentary if there was anyone else. So, Dr. Valinsky.
Good afternoon, commissioners and fellow community members. My name is Talitha Walensky. I have been with Dream Catchers since its foundation, and here I'm a support. I was a part of the governing council at one point in time, but now I'm over at San Juan College. And the story that comes to my mind is that one of our students that was at Dream Diné is now a middle school student at Kirtland Middle School. And for some odd reason, I didn't recognize her from the beginning, but as we're doing STEM research and projects with her, and I was doing a vision board with her. She's sitting at that computer and she's really getting engaged with the computer and everything like that. And I had promised them that I was going to give them the vision board back to them with the printout and with have it laminated, and I would take it to their school. Well, I took it to their school, and she was the first one to say, "You said you were going to make this laminated and make sure that I have this vision board." And I was really happy. And I come to find out she's in the program that we're facilitating at San Juan College West for STEM research. And she's doing the robotics. And I'm really excited that we had students that went through Dream Diné Charter School and now is really engaged in the STEM portion. And a lot of the students that I know that have gone through the charter school are doing very successfully. One of them is at Navajo Prep. She's playing in the band. So a lot of the students are exceptional students. And I'm really proud of them because as a doctoral student, one of my research was to keep the fluency of Navajo in the language and culture. And then being able to see that even as a leader in the community, in a community college, I'm really excited that they're here and they're staking their flag. They're putting it down that the male language and culture is not going to go away. It's going to stay, not for their generation, but the 7 generations after them. And that's what I wanted to share, is that these individuals, that come through, and you all know that it's challenging, especially with being a charter school, but that's what caused them to be exceptional schools, because they go beyond what would normally be asked of them. So I just thank you for giving them that opportunity again.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Clarence Hogue, CLARENCEHOGUE. I also have a close tie with the school. I was on the board for, I think, 7 years. So I left about over a year ago. But I've seen the school grow a lot. And yes, we did have our challenges. It was an up and down ride. Um, but even in the toughest times, I think what kept us going was the belief that this school had a vision or has a vision. And there were the founding team that thought of this way back several years ago. You know, they said prayers, they sang songs in the Hogan, they had many meetings, and they prayed about this school, that it would become a school and that it would be a place where kids and students can come and learn about who they are as Diné people. And so when we were, Aletha and I'll speak for her too, there were times when we literally leaned on each other. We cried because we cared so much about the school that we wanted it to continue. But what I would always say that this school is going to continue because of the prayers that are said and that are being said. And one of the things that I did before I came to this meeting today is through the social media, I shared what we're doing, what's going on today, and asked for people to help us and through their prayers that we can continue the school and the support for the school. So, and that's what I really believe in, and I appreciate the staff. You know, we've had a lot of staff that has gone through that school through the years, and I really think that they really believe in their families and their students. So, and I so appreciate the students that are here today, the young ones, and for them speaking the language, and that you all heard that today. And as Navajo people, you know, we are all relatives. You know, you may all be commissioners, but we still think of you as relatives. So we are one big family, and I think that's how we need to be thinking about one another in the places that we are and the roles that we have. So I really appreciate the time. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Ho.
We have one more online. Guest, if you could please tell us your name.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yat Crystal White Pinisha. Waslanishla Jose Tachini at Bashishchin. Ashia Dashache Dokilichina Dashanala. I am the former office manager for Dream Diné. I worked closely with our team when I started there. I know our former fifth graders were actually first graders. So I believe it was pre-COVID at 2018-2019 school year. And so I started in the midst of the charter renewal then as well, you know, and I saw all the hard work that the team, the executive team, as well as our governing board, you know, worked so hard to be renewed, you know, and coming into the school itself, we only had a small enrollment of students then as well. But I needed to strategize, like, how can we not only bring in staff, students, and families into the school itself, it was building the relationship, so really taking that vision and mission of the school, hearing the stories of why Dream Diné exists. It's a very unique perspective in how our local schools in the area are failing our families. My son was actually always a grade ahead from when Dream Diné emerged when I first heard of the school. And so I wanted him to attend there, but when they were barely opening up, he was already a grade ahead. And so but I was fortunate enough to work there for about 4 years and grow the school. I remember having those conversations with Miss Dennison during that Easter event at ODY. I was out there doing the ground footwork, trying to bring in families, telling them how unique the school environment is. And it is always going to continue to be unique and very different from the other schools out there. I appreciate what Angel's mom had said as well. You know, how other schools are, it's more of a choice, you know, for Diné culture and language. And, you know, in there, it's, you know, you saw our students, you saw the kiddos there, you know. It amazes me how grown up they've gotten. I'm trying not to get emotional because, you know, just to see, you know, the students grow and, you know, having that, having the families continue to advocate for the school itself. And it's still going to continue to grow, and even seeing, you know, our current and former GC members there, you know, shows that the school itself is going to sustain itself, you know. So that's what I have to say about that. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. All right, I think that concludes our public comment. We're going to move into our next item, which is the opportunity for the Public Education Commission to ask questions and make commentary. Commissioner Beck.
My way. Thank you so much for making the trek up here, and best of luck getting the trek back. Be safe on those roads. I know you're all worried. We're worried too. So thank you for all the testimonials. Again, it gives me a much more understanding of your school. I'm going to try to do this really fast. And thank you for the kids. The kids always, you know, good move. Great move there. I just have two things. Well, I want to congratulate you, by the way, on your VISTA scores, moving from a CSI designation to traditional. That's awesome. Congratulations. You should be very proud of that. I do have two questions, though, because I like to dig deep into this kind of stuff, but you don't have to dig too deep. Obviously, your math scores improved significantly, 11% growth. You had a little bit of a challenge with your ELA. So I'm just curious if you have put through or decided any institutional structural strategies through your PD or through your PLCs to improve those scores.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Commissioner Beck, for that question. Yes, so it's interesting because I'm the reading interventionist, and so I felt like last year it was the reading interventionist, and that was the area that we really were struggling to really get that shift in that mindset of the educators, of the teachers, of what are we going to do? How do we get updated practices? How are we differentiating our learning? You know, how are we going to utilize post-reading strategies with our students so that they have grade level text in front of them, and they are working at using different types of like visuals, breaking down of modeling and different types of structures. And it all depended during our PLCs on what the teachers felt they needed the most help and support in. And then with that, it was, you know, something that we would go out and we would find, looking at breaking down the standards and knowing the students that were in the classroom and working directly through, I think in that like layer 2 process, in that layer 2 of the MLSS, and working with the students directly. I think it's really been beneficial in the small group to just delivering it in a different way with the students, depending on their individual need. And so, you know, there are different types of strategies that some teachers felt more confident in than others, and depending on their grade level. So those were those really good conversations that we had to have. And, you know, unfortunately, we did, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot of work, and the teachers had to take on that. Like, I need to learn something, and I need to accept that I don't know this, and I'm going to apply myself, and I'm going to, you know, say what it is that I don't know, and we're all here to support you, one another. So
Yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, great. Yes, absolutely. So is your curriculum, is there a base to it, or do you guys develop your own curriculum in ELA?
So that was the other thing. So when we started, we had Wonders, which, is something textbook adoption. But I was really fortunate when I was student teaching. I went to UNM, and when I was student teaching, I student taught in a charter school, really in Albuquerque. And through that experience, I really had an opportunity to be in the beginning of their planning and their curriculum, like mapping and designing that as a staff. And that knowledge, when I went back, and it was just a goal of mine to teach in Shiprock, on Navajo Nation, teach Navajo students, that followed to the school district. And so it just became intuitive to figure out, if we just focus on the standards and we bring in thinking of our Diné language, our 5 content standards, our history, the culture, how do we bring and find resources and materials that we can bring in that meet those standards, that at the same time of making sure that the rigor is there. We look at, looking at the designing and understanding of the state assessment, and knowing that the language that's going to be used, and how do you break it down? Like, regardless, the students are going to have to take that. So even though it gives a snapshot of what they do, they have some exposure to it. So really realigning that. And that's what we've done with our team as well. And so with Carrie, she's phenomenal. Substitute, I'm like, we should just give her a level 1 teacher license. She is, she gets it. She asks questions. She wants to know. She wants to grow. And Joni as well. And I think that that's what we're trying to do at Dream Diné, is build our own type of teacher pipeline for our student people within the community who want to continue to stay. And that, I feel like, them learning good practices, as opposed to, and things that would be they'll be able to apply it right away. Sometimes I think in higher education, you get the experience and you're taught this, but then when you go back into your school, such as ours, especially in the tribal communities, it doesn't apply. And so what they're doing is they're getting that direct experience. And so back to your question, we work in how do we pull different resources that are credible, but they also are purposeful in what we want the students to learn about their culture, their identity, as well as other Indigenous communities, other Indigenous people, and just throughout the world, so that they understand that it doesn't have to be just what's put in front of them. Yeah.
Great, excellent. I'm pretty bad at math, so I said 2 questions. I got one more, sorry. You use interim assessments, I assume, correct?
Yes.
And what are they, just out of?
In WEA.
Okay.
Yeah, so in WEA, and then our ice stations that we do with our students for our progress monitoring. So in WEA, beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year.
Right.
And so, and that was something that was not, yeah, so we got into it. Our students understand it. They're tracking their data. They have data binders. And it's great to hear them at the end of their assessment when they were like, my bar went high, and then and then they come back and then they're like, what was my goal? Did I reach my goal? And it's so having those conversations and using that language, it's there.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you're going to do fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Burt and Commissioner Gibson.
Thanks. It is actually genuinely beautiful, the work that's happening in this school. And so first, I'm so excited that you all are here and that you're a part of the community, and this is an option for families in the area. I grew up in Farmington for a lot of my childhood, and when I think of the school and when I look at the kids, I think of my friends and how when we were younger, they were ashamed to learn Navajo, and now they're ashamed that they didn't, right? Like, now that they're adults, it's like, why didn't I? But there was so much shame at that time, like when we were younger, to learn it. So I think it's beautiful for the students to be learning and proud of the language that I think a lot of parents and grandparents and elders in the community want so badly for children to do it. And so it's really beautiful. And it's beautiful that it's so integrated into every little piece of the school. My question is really about the timeline, because I feel like if, like, just reading through everything, I would want to ask you a bunch of questions about what is the plan to fix things? But I actually feel like the plan to fix things was in here as well, like already. But I think I have in my head that it's really since last spring, like 2020, spring 2022, when things started like really shifting and turning. Am I right on that timeline? Or when did, I feel like a shift happened and like a plan for improvement already has started? And which makes sense because then you're seeing results from this last, vistas and from different growth measures that you're already looking at. Am I right? Or can you talk a little bit about like what has already been put in place and the progress already made? When did that start? And can you help me with that?
Can you hear me? Thank you for that question. When I came on July 2022. And at that time, we were basically revamping our whole entire program. And for me, I thought it takes a village to raise a child. And we went through several changes, and just going through those changes, you know that the community, it has to be a part of this. The parents have to be a part of this. So bringing those individuals back into the school was something that was a big goal for us. We wanted to make sure that that was happening because like in the video earlier, nobody really knows who we were. And just getting that message out to the parents to understand that this is who we are and this is what we're going to do. So we had a lot of people coming in and talking with us about the things that they're doing. And then we had to come back and look at our program. Wait a minute, we just came out of a crazy, crazy pandemic, and our scores are going to be looked at with a microscope. And so, thinking about that, we went through with the public education department through the TNTP program, and we made sure that we were a part of that, so that we had professional development with them, and they came up and visited with us, and they're still working with us to make sure that we're doing what we need to be doing for our students. So it did happen during the summertime, and we're pretty proud of what we've accomplished. Our teachers are all, they're committed to these students, and being Native American and just what you mentioned. I don't speak Navajo very well. I'm learning along with our others, and I feel like, yeah, that's something that needs to be taught, and these people need to be proud of who they are and where they come from. So in a lot of ways, I felt that I need to advocate for these kids. And so that's one of the reasons why we were so strong in pulling for Diné language and culture. And even though we don't have a full-time teacher, we did just hire a teacher yesterday. So we have a 520 teacher, 520 licensed teacher. And when we did not get our teacher back, we had to step on it right away and say, hey, we have to make sure that all of our students are getting that. So what do we need to do? And teachers were incredible. We'll do it. We'll do it. What do we need to do? Let's get this moving. So we have one teacher who's very fluent in Navajo. So she's doing the Navajo language. The other teachers, not quite so good. They're like me. I'm very limited. But the culture is so rich and something that we can pass on to our students. And then we have, of course, people from NISN helping us out, bringing us back into that realm of learning. So it has started. To answer your question again, yes, it has started, and we continue to do it. I'm so proud of our people. I mean, I'm so proud of everybody here. Everybody has a vested interest in this community, and it really, really shows and really shines, and I appreciate the parents. They're just wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, so So then it really like last school year was the first year of like kind of implementing this like data-driven, different way of teaching and learning and right, that it was last school year was the first year?
Yeah,
Was the-
last year was the first school year. I think that we just we knew how our students, the outcomes were going to be the year prior. But we could just take what we had learned there and say, we know we need to get our work done. And I think the leadership is what was the like change. That is what was needed. We needed strong leadership, and we needed, that person who was willing to kind of see outside the box of the traditional like administrator coming in and doing, their structure. And it all encompasses like our Diné philosophy that we already carry. And I think that that's why it's been so successful and everyone's so passionate about wanting that change, that we just started to move forward. And we knew that the work was going to be hard, but we were willing to get it started. So last year was probably the beginning. Yeah.
That's what, so that's kind of what I was getting from reading through the application. So I do want to say, I'm proud of the governing board for making a courageous move. Because good governing board, bringing in good leadership, like that is going to equal a good school, like keeping that sustainability and that progress moving forward. And I especially saw that because I saw a lot of, people didn't like being held accountable for the first time. And it was a struggle at the beginning, right? To like get everyone to come on board. Like, yeah, people were used to kind of doing whatever they wanted. And then you had a leader come in that's like, oh, whoa. Like, nope, let's get this together, right? And pull it together. So good on the governing board and the courageousness for it to be able to do that, right? So for everyone to be a part of that. So then my next question, so I once again, I feel like what started last year are the things that I would want to see going into this next contract term to like continue growth, like keep propelling it forward. It feels like you have the pieces in place now. It's a shame that we're not already a couple more years into that so that we can really see like the data reflect the work and growth that you're doing. And so it makes me nervous that it's only like 1 year that we can see it. And so it's kind of taking a chance that like, okay, that's working, right? You're going to keep going. So then I guess my one way that I maybe feel a little bit better about it is after last school year, so you implemented like this, like the rigor, the way of teaching, the way of doing PLCs, you implemented all these different strategies. After the school year came, you did get good results from it. Like you did get good growth in a lot of different areas from it. But what did you find that were the things that worked? And did you find anything that didn't work from that year that you were like, okay, that didn't work. We're going to pivot and do something different. And then that's been implemented this school year. Like what reflection do you have after that first year?
Thank you for the question, Commissioner Burt. I think the success and what worked, that we're doing even more is like a co-teaching kind of model where there's multiple adults in the classroom. We get comfortable enough because we have such great relationships that we're able to step into the classrooms. All the students, regardless if they're in our class or not, see us all the time. They know from one classroom to the other. Through that, I think you're modeling best practices. They're seeing, different types of teaching techniques. You're able to communicate with them right then and there. And I think that was what we noticed was a challenge last year for some teachers, but now we're doing it and they're seeing the success. And it's hard. It's hard to feel like you're being coached, right? And then you think about observations and how that's reflected, but we've kind of changed that to say it's not to tell us like it's a bad thing, just like we're asking for our students, we need to learn how to grow and taking on that professional development for ourselves and how we want to be better as educators. And I think that's that mind shift, like we can do it. And those were the kind of the struggles, but also the successes. In addition to, I think the big thing is just informing and educating our parents. I think that's the big shift too. Last year it was like, okay, we want to go back and have our, PAC meetings, our family nights, and we started to slowly implement that in probably like December. We started working with local entities because we don't have a facility, a gym in the colder months. We would go and they would support us, and we would host different events. And I think through that and through those partnerships, people are wanting to be more supportive. So we have different opportunities and resources and people that we can reach out to. And so, but all of that came with asking parents, what do you want? What is it you need? What can we do to support? And I think that having that open dialogue and welcoming them to a seat at a table, has been really helpful and beneficial. And I think kind of moving forward to go on, even though we do not have an equity council, I think all of our parents are becoming more empowered now and feeling more confident that they can all be people that would be great representatives on that.
Ditto, right. Yeah, the big thing that was very successful for us was the communication, constant communication, constant review of everything that we've been doing. So yeah, everything, including that, and then the welcoming the additional help from NISN, from Diné College, from San Juan College, from Navajo Prep. If you notice, our video was created by an individual from Navajo Prep. One of the students helped along with that as well. I think it's part of his ATSA project, his end of the year capstone project. So yeah, we constantly communicating, making sure our parents are informed, our community informed, and as well as our staff. Thank you.
I have just a couple more questions. Where do your students typically go in 6th grade?
So our parents are struggling with where to send their kids to middle school. We have a public school, we have a BIE school in the Shiprock community, but I think a lot of them are really hesitant to send them to the public school, middle school, which is only one that all the schools funnel to. But I think between the Shiprock Associated School, BIE school, they like that, and I think that they either go there or they go to off reservation, which could be Kirtland or Farmington. So yeah, so that's where they're going. And I think that as the future continues, it would, and with that collaboration, even with Navajo Prep, there are people that we were on, in an idea of hey, students, this is what you're this is what you're capable of if you continue to move on and continue to be strong in your language and culture, and making those partnerships where they've even come out, the students, and they taught they taught the students, they worked with us, they cleaned our community garden, and we've just established really strong relationships with Shauna Vicente. And I think through the conversations we have, there's so much promise moving forward. And I think that that was another reason why we're really wanting to become a state charter, is so that we have that opportunity to continue to grow and to add on, because the students, what are we going to do? They know, this is what we're trying to prepare you for. And that's something we even have conversations with them. I teach 3rd through 5th, and it's you have to be prepared to go whatever school system you go to, what skills and what you're learning here, you're going to be able to apply. So regardless in your educational career, you're going to come across good teachers, not good teachers, good systems, not, but you as the learner have a decision on how you're going to navigate that. And so I think that a long answer to your question,
No,
but
it's good.
yeah.
Well, because I don't want to, I think that I would really like to see this school create a strong cultural and academic foundation in this kinder through 5th. A facility, obviously, I think good teaching and learning can happen anywhere, right? Charters all over the country have the craziest places where they're highly educating students. So, but I do think a facility does create a source of pride in the students and the families, that is one of those intangible things that when you walk into a school and it's like this beautiful building, like our students, our charter school students deserve beautiful buildings just as much as a traditional school student. So would love to see you guys get facility, but as you're thinking about that, if middle school is a challenge in the community, you might want to consider maybe the next 5 years after this, like considering that like middle school expansion. So as you're looking at facilities, I know you're looking at like, I saw you want to get to 50 to start, but that's all your capacity is right now for the portables you have. And then your cap is at 100 right now. But just think about like, if you're going to build something or you're going to expand a facility, just like think about maybe what that could look like, not immediately, but like future focused as well. And then my next part is also about kind of capacity for the school to grow. It did, and maybe I might be making this up because I haven't read it again like very recently, but all of your teachers are Diné certified, or they're all bilingual educators. Is that correct?
And we have one that is TESOL endorsed and another that's has her bilingual background.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But all
they're
teachers are
all-
teaching in Diné and English, right? So how does that look? I know you talked a little bit about the pipeline and like growing your own kind of thing, but how are you concerned about expanding and then adding more teachers? Like what does the pool look like in order to do that sustainably?
Well, that's where we came in with Dr. Basenti as far as getting more licensed 520 teachers. And when she brought that to us last year, we were kind of like, oh, I don't think so. We don't have the capacity to have that many people on campus at this time. But this year, that she brought that opportunity to us again. And I think when we had a conversation earlier, I had talked about we need a teacher like now, today. If you can bring us one, help us. And she said, hey, I've got I can bring a mentor in. Your teachers can become apprentices. We can start from here and start teaching your staff, your teachers, the language at this time. So we said, yeah, let's do that. So she brought it in and we're so happy. I mean, it's working. And like I said before, the teachers, we knew that we were not going to start the school year with a 520 licensed teacher. So we all stepped up. I'm so proud of my teachers. They just step up. They just know that there's a need and then they try to fulfill it. Thank you.
I think I would just add a lot of what's your work environment's really important. The type of, what kind of place that you have and what it means. You spend all your time there, your thoughts, everything you apply, it all goes into the place, your workplace. And I think that it is centered around like family, like that's what we are. And I love every person I worked with. This is probably the most positive, like work environment that I've ever worked in my like 11 years of teaching. And it's really powerful. Like it's empowering because when I have conversations with other teachers, I hear about their climate, their school climate, what's happening with them. And a lot of it comes down, and I feel like what we have here that is continuing to flourish is from our leadership is the support that each individual has and to be listened to and valued. And I think that if we continue and they're appreciated, they're understood. And I think that that's what's going to attract people. Those are the conversations as we start to see teachers, have a competitive pay, but it's really finding the people that are like, oh, I've never seen it like this, so I'm hesitant. But now that they're seeing it, and they either through conversations with teachers, through classmates, like we're starting to build that capacity just indirectly. And I think as we continue to move on, there's a lot more that we can do once we kind of become our own in that sense. Thank you.
So the last comment I have is I think, I mean, I do think, like I said, I just think it's a beautiful school. It's once again, like the purpose of charter schools is to have a school like this in your community. I wouldn't ever want a family to have to decide of well, I want them to learn Diné. I want them to be immersed in the Diné culture. But if they go to this school, I don't know if their academics, if they're going to come out proficient at the end of it, right? So I don't want them to have to choose between that they should get both. Like they're going to have like high reading scores, they're going to have high math scores, and they're going to get all this infused of the culture. So I want to keep like a closer eye on making sure, it seems like you have all those steps in the beginning parts in place. You're already implementing a lot of the structures that need to happen in order to raise that anyway. And I just would want to keep a closer eye and communication with you all to ensure that as you go forward over the next 5 years, that it is increasing year over year. And that becomes part of the culture of the school, of the teachers, of the families, of the students. I mean, it just from the hummingbird, was it the pledge, hummingbird pledge? I mean, they're already in it, right? Like they're like, I'm going to increase my math scores. I'm going to increase my reading. I'm going to be kind, caring, loving. Like they got it. So it's definitely adult actions that have to step up the pieces that are, but I think you can get there. Like it feels like the pieces are in place. Like I said, I wish I had a couple more years of the pieces having been in place to like really feel confident. So that's why just keeping a closer eye in the next coming years is something I would support doing.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner Gibson.
Thanks. Thanks for everything. I'm going to say probably a little prematurely, but I'm going to say welcome back. I was, and I'm going to say congratulations for having the school district come. I'm aware of, some of the stuff. So I think it's the only school district that's ever come before us and said, hey, I support this. So I've been the recipient of too many phone calls from superintendents saying, don't do that, and you need to know this. And so, really congratulations for whatever you did to get that done. So that's, that's really important. And bridge building always is important. And I'm going to tie in quite a bit to Commissioner Burt's questions about growth and also sustainability, because I know I've had a lot of conversations with schools that a number around 30 is very difficult to sustain, and it's trying to get out of that, having to always worry about, can we do this? What are we doing? So, and I looked at the master plan and saw your goal in terms of being able to, I don't think you've acquired that property yet, have you? It's in the works. It's in the works, okay.
Yeah, it's in the works, and we have to really work with the chapter house and the business office in Shiprock to attain this piece of property, and it is going forward. We got a lot of support from the chapter house. So step one, now we got to go in with the RBDO, the business office, and start working on that. And it's a beautiful piece of land there. So we're really excited about it. We just want to kind of push it a little bit more so we can have something hopefully within a year to, start moving stuff on there, start moving our buildings on there. So yeah, it's coming along. We're excited. I know it's been a 4-year challenge trying to get a spot.
Right. Well, I'm sure you're aware of the challenge when the school first opened.
Yes.
So I was not on when the school was first approved, but I was there for the request to have to extend the commencement of operations because couldn't get the facility up and going. So I hope everything goes smoother than that. But that was, so one of my questions I wanted to ask was, growing what you have, and that certainly will allow you to do that, is to grow I'm wondering two things. If you're looking at a possibility of a pre-K program, which would certainly help to build up, your K-5 program, because you're you're grabbing them earlier. And there's certainly money that's available. And if you're getting into that new facility, you would be able to then build in, because, the tiny tykes require more different facilities than even a K. So schools that brought pre-K in had to modify their areas so that I would, certainly look into that possibility, but also looking at, maybe 3 years down the road when your scores are hopefully still continuing to grow, a slow grow out that, if we add just a 6, and you follow a group and things go well, and I see Wayne back there from public charter schools, they've got this fabulous grant for growth. So, that's, hopefully, because I know, there are a few schools that come to us whose families are so invested. I wish every other school that we had, their parents were half as invested in where my child is going, and not only where they're going, but they spoke so about what was happening academically. And, certainly the acknowledgement of the culture, but the fact that the parents also recognized the academic growth that was going on in the school as well, that's a testament to the job that you're doing as well. So thank you for that, because it's changing the culture of the community in terms of their investment in the education of their children. And I truly appreciate that, because we don't have that in many places. We don't. That's why our attendance rates are what they are. And we usually ask schools, are you busing the kids? Because busing is so important. And then you turned it on us and said, no, we don't want to bus because we want to see those parents. And I appreciate that. But I wonder if that's also a challenge in terms of some families just can't get to you. So, I think there's a fine balance there. So I don't know if you've had any conversations about that.
Yes, thank you. I know there's the initiative a couple of years ago was for a really strong pull for the early childhood program. And currently we have a early childhood program right behind our school. It's the Head Start program with the tribe, with the Navajo Nation. And we've often talked about that as far as maybe doing a pre-K. It's not really something that we're focusing on because there is a Head Start behind us. And the majority of those students do come to our school when they finish out. So yeah, that would be a great idea. And we do have parents coming to us, the 5th grade parents, who asked if we were going to continue with 6th grade. And we were, maybe not this year, but we do have a parent sitting next to me that wants a 6th grade class. So, we will have those conversations. It's really important. We would like to grow, and we would like to be the role model or the model of a Diné language and culture program, because I think we are doing a fantastic job with that, even though we don't have the full capacity in that area yet, but we're reaching it. Thank you.
Can I add something? Great. Thank you, Commissioner Gibson. And I think the transportation, you're right. Like, I think that's where there are parents that just, they can't, it's hard for them. So that's why we appreciate our parents so much, because they make it every day. But getting, I think Nadine and I last year had an opportunity to go to Washington, D.C., and we met with Ben Ray Lujan and Heinrich, and they suggested certain federal grants that would be available, that are available for buses. And then we spoke with Shauna Vicenti, who they had written a grant to get like a hybrid kind of bus type thing. So they're available, just at that time, it wasn't on our priority because we were like, okay, we have other things we need to be working on. But there was like, well, when you're there, we can help you. What do you need? There's money that's available if you can find some, get someone to write it. So you're right. I think once we get the transportation, we'll definitely reach more families because that is something that comes up. Thank you.
I think about the middle school and I appreciate what you said about, we're giving our students the skills to survive wherever they go. But there's also that piece of me that doesn't want a student who's been in such an environment to possibly experience something negative when they go off somewhere because they've been in such a positive environment. So it's, you want them to be happy all the way through and safe. Thank you.
Commissioner Taylor, then Commissioner Creel.
Great, thanks. I'll try to keep this fairly brief. Most of what I have to say is just kudos to you all. I just first of all want to congratulate you on your Vistas improvement in 1 year. I appreciate and love the idea that you guys have plans in place for improvement. You recognize there were issues. You implemented plans without being told by somebody, hey, you need to, here's a cap to improve. You took it upon yourselves to start improving those systems. So I appreciate that as well. I don't know where I got this information, but it seems like I read something about a 44% attendance rate in 22. Is that right? And this year you're 89%. Okay. So to all those other schools that are listening to this, and are struggling with implementing a system and improving the outcome, here's a year. You have more than doubled your attendance rate. So again, congratulations on that. Those things to me are just indicative of who you all are as leaders and the urgency with which you take action. That was the other thing I was going to say. It's like you talked about, hey, we need a teacher. You hired a teacher yesterday. To me, those kind of things are like recognize the problem, deal with the problem, and do something about it. I just want to say congratulations on your efforts, on your outcomes that y'all are showing. I look forward to our annual report next year and looking to see how much you guys have improved even more. So I look forward to that. I know we've talked a little bit about facilities, and I'd like you just real briefly to kind of talk about what your dream timeline is for your building. What's your dream? Because I feel like you guys are going to have that dream, and you're going to make it happen. So I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
We would like to have, thank you for that. We would like to have a new area by next year. I know I'm really dreaming big here, but yeah, and I think it's doable. No, I believe it is doable. We can do this. We've got the support. We've got, I know when I talk about communicating with the community, we have friends in the community that are working with our school as far as bringing seeds and showing their not just seeds but like vegetables and bringing them to our school. And then when we start a conversation with them, it's like, well, you guys need a bigger place to plant. You're doing these box gardens, but you really should have something bigger. Well, We do, and do you know of anybody who can do the clearing for us? Those kinds of conversations do come up. So we have a big organization in Shiprock called is it NACA or NECA? Yeah, NECA. And they have come to us a couple of times and told us that they could clear it out. And then parents want to come in too, and there's a lot of wood there. So, a free for all, go over there and get yourself some wood so you can start burning. So it's really important for us to set a goal for that, because I would really like to see a new school there. And like I said before, it is doable. We would like to see that. And we're going to work hard as far as getting the funding. We're very new at capital outlay information. So if that would be something that another organization could come in and give us some insight on, yeah, a whole year. But we're going to work hard. Thank you.
I have no doubt that you'll get there.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Commissioner Carrillo.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Super impressed by your school. So a couple of things first. Early on, Ms. Thomas, you said, except that I don't know this, that teach around teachers. You had said that really early on, and the search for professional development. And I love that you said that, because I was on the school board for 9 years for Santa Fe Public Schools, and you probably know that, or may not know, the district, they're just going to hate me even more than they do already. No, but the district is, it's a union district. And you don't hear that coming out of a lot of teachers in their own quest sometimes for professional development, and the idea that I need to accept what I don't know and ask for help. And so thank you. I appreciated that. Really quick, some notes here, but a quick question. Nadine, what's a chapter house? I'd never heard that term before.
Chapter house represents the community, and there they have a governing board such as ours, and they make decisions based on information in the community. So if we want, let's say, the community wants a new parking area, they go through the chapter house. And of course,
Okay.
they go through the business development too. So it's built all around community. So the parents and community members, business members, everybody that is in part with Shiprock, the district, they come in and decide if they want something new, especially if it's going to impact the community. I'm trying to think right now, I'm going blank. Local government, right? Yeah, like a district government. So if there's anything that wants to come, anybody wants something new, they go through the chapter house.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you. Is it a meeting space as well? I mean,
Yes.
Okay.
We're actually right next to the big chapter house. It is a big facility. And we, at one time, I heard, I'm not sure if this is correct, but we had our lunches prepared there for our students. They no longer do that. So yeah, it's right there next to us.
Thanks. I mean, I'm thinking Quaker House that I hear, but it seems almost similar, just when different, faiths or organization or groups, if you will, whether they're based on ethnic or faith or whatever, have their community space where they do things. Thank you. So I want to echo what Commissioner Gibson. I just like to say it like that, so you then think, oh my God, he's mentioning me. No, I really appreciate what you said, because Steve Carlson, he's not on right now. And Ms. Gibson, you told us at lunch today some of the history of what your school had to go through. And so I was very happy that Mr. Carlson came on, and that it seems like there's going to be a positive, collaborative relationship with the district. And so I just hope that really works out well. There's another district, I won't mention their name today, but man, are they adversarial with all of their native schools and charters. Not too far south from where we are. But it's just like, it doesn't have to be that way. These are all our kids. For God's sakes, make sure they're fed. How hard is this, right? So I heard you say, is that what you're doing now with CCSD? They're doing, bringing the food in, the breakfast,
Yes.
lunch?
Yes.
Okay. Terrific. And so I was fascinated to hear, and I would love it, Ms. Thomas, if you would tell me more about this idea of, because when you said connecting reading to math, because the numbers here, which I have great faith are going to go up, but the numbers here, it's very rare, did I say where? Very rare that we see math significantly higher than ELA. I would almost say never. I think never for me in the last 3 years have I seen that. And so would you tell me more about why this is? Like culturally or whatever, what happens that there's, just tell me more about this.
I think it's a couple of things. So just for context, when I started at Dream Diné 3 years ago, I was hired on as a math teacher. They did content teaching. So I taught kindergarten through 5th, all of math. And I think that that was very beneficial because as students were coming in, it could immediately, through the daily instruction, conversations, see where they were at and what would needed to happen. So then you can then take that information and design and say, okay, this is where we need to focus on. This is the strengths, and then build the students up with that in the times when they were challenged in their reading skills. And instead of making it that they weren't smart or they weren't capable, it was to capitalize on that. This is what you have. But I think in that, it was tying in just the relevancy and context of where they are and trying to help them to apply it that way. I think for them, a lot of the time, if you give them hands-on opportunities to show their work, to understand a concept, to work in a collaborative way in small groups so that the students themselves are articulating get that academic language that you deliver, right, that the teacher gives, but then certain students will get it and others don't. Well, then they will go ahead and will restate it to help their peers. And then also, I think one of the big things that happened last year, we really dug into Eureka Math. We knew that across our grade levels, we really needed to make sure that we had something that was consistent in language and vocabulary, but also let's take our time and let's break down standards and let's get students to really develop a deep conceptual understanding of the mathematics, as opposed to just okay, let's go, we're gonna go on the next thing, you haven't quite got it. And so those opportunities for the reteach of the small group sizes, individualized, really helped, giving them videos that help them to connect. Why are we learning this math? How is it relevant? How is it going to help me? And I think that that's really important. So they understand the purpose for it. Lots of visuals, drawing out, writing out, giving them manipulatives. I mean, all of our classrooms have lots of manipulatives. So really are selective with the quality of questions and material that we give the students out. So less problems to do, but more deep thinking. And I think all the students understand that. They know the processes. We've come up with a common language with knowing how to solve word problems. And I think that that's where right now that I was able to, or not we were able to connect the reading with it. Guys, I think where the breakdown is, you guys get the math, but you're having a hard time understanding how to read it. So here are these strategies that are going to help you. This is the practice that you're going to do. And then we've hosted math nights with our families because they were like, well, I don't understand this Eureka Math, and it's okay, so let's help you. Let's give you strategies, let's give you games. Let's find ways that it just becomes a part of your daily conversations and at your home. So I think that those things were really beneficial in that. But we have amazing artists in our students, and as much as we can, we give them the opportunity to show their thinking through their artwork, through okay, how can you show me that you learned this content or those standards, and be freely giving them okay, these are the standards, but show me, And I think that that helps them a lot. So
That's really
that
cool.
ans-
That's fantastic. Because I think about what you were, just the connectivity that you're talking about, and it might be fun. This is just something that popped into my brain, because you said sometimes they might have trouble with word problems, and like translating the reading of the word problem or the challenges. I think that's what I heard, but it might be fun to have them write the word problems and write essays around, because, I brought this up over the last 4 days, just how my son went to a middle school. Well, it wasn't a middle school. It was, well, his mom refers to it as the $40,000 mistake. Because I said I wouldn't give one. It was a private here in town. And I said, I'm not paying for 10 cents of this, because I'm a public school guy. And, but anyway, they weren't writing. It's like, what, you're in 7th and 8th grade and you're not writing? I just didn't get it. And, but there's so many opportunities writing across the curriculum. And I'm just excited the fact that, well, that you're excited about math and that the kids are excited about math, and like integrating the two, because I just think that's going to be the recipe for success on both levels. And I love the behind one of the slides, it said, join our hummingbird community. Like, yeah, that's super cool. I had a little note for that. So, little note to Carrie, if you're still here. I think it's so cool. I just love it when people come back to communities to give. And I remember, I'll never forget it actually. He's probably graduated right about now from Princeton. It was, he was the first to ever graduate high school in his family. And he ended up from Capitol High School here in Santa Fe, full ride to Princeton. And what does he want to do after school? He wants to come back to Santa Fe and give back to the community that gave him so much. And man, that's just so much. That's huge. Relative to also reading and math in general, what I learned over the last 4 days is, and I wouldn't know how to research these things. You can tap into Vice Chair Burt for this, because she's a master at all things research online. But I mean, it's amazing what I've learned about how many grants and different things are available that we don't even know exist, but they're there. There's foundations that are saying, take my money, but no one knows that and how to tap in. And the only example I'll give is there was this math thing that these group from New Mexico School for the Arts, because that's where they were not doing well at all. They were knocking it out of the park, but math, they were in the cellar. And they said, man, we got to do something about this. And it was a program that was completely paid for by a grant that sent them all to New Hampshire for math instruction. And in this case, the tutor I remember sitting right over there, his name was Graham. And he was talking about kids who have their own perceptions of themselves relative to math. I can't do this. And we hear, let's face it, if you grow up in New Mexico, you hear everybody fails in math. All the schools are bad in math. And you're deluged with that. So you've come in with this dark cloud. And it changed what Graham spoke of was changing the language, how that was taught. And I'm not saying you need this math thing, because you guys already seem to be doing really well. But it's just around different things, meeting kids where they are. But just there's so much available out there that you don't have to pay for. And I would encourage you to tap into Vice Chair Burke, because she's so good at all that stuff. I'll volunteer her. So for Geneva, right? Geneva, yeah. One of the things I realized, and not just, well, with a lot of the schools that we were over the last 4 days that we'll say have a lot of challenges, right? And the thing that I started thinking about, there's this layer, like on a school board, you're directly involved in schools. I mean, you don't manage, you don't get involved that way, right? You have your superintendent and different people for that. But you can go to schools. I mean, you see kids and do all of that. And that's like the most fun part ever, is being around kids. And as a board, it's really about oversight. And what I realized in some of these schools that weren't doing nearly as well as they believed they could, some of which didn't even have, I think, the resources and team to do it. Geneva, in your board meetings, what do you do on a regular basis to monitor not just money? You're Geneva?
I'm Daniela.
Oh, that's right, because I was, okay, but I was, okay. So, what do you do on a regular basis in board meetings to monitor academic success? Not just keeping all the finances in order, because everyone always does that, and policies and procedures, but monitoring academic growth and success.
Thank you for that question, Commissioner Corolla?
Carrillo,
Korea.
two L's
I-
make the sound of a Y. I know you know that.
I have to really commend Andrea. She does an awesome job at our board meetings with slideshows and statistics and, you know, everything our kids are either struggling with or are growing academically. She is very open about that with us, and she does an awesome job with presenting it to us. So we've got an awesome person who comes in, fills us in every month on our kids' academic growth and, you know, what they're struggling with. So
I'm happy
Thank
to
you.
hear that. It sounds like you have a pretty awesome person all around in Andrea. And no, I'm very happy to hear that, because what I said to some of the people that were in this room, some of the board members that had shown up on behalf of their schools, and I just said, you failed. I said, you failed. You're the oversight. Where have you been for the last decade, right? And so you're coming back to us, which I'm super glad about. And hopefully I'll be sitting here 5 years from now. One never knows what life has in store. And then I can, and hopefully you'll still be in the positions you are, and I can say, wow, you guys are just knocking it out of the park. Or I can say, you failed if we don't see these numbers shift anywhere. Because we had a school earlier where one of the commissioners, I think it was fantastic that you did that as well, went back even to previous renewals, and the term that he used, the commissioner used, was, sounds to me like you're swimming in the same water you were in 2018. To which we have to say, what on earth are you going to, you're coming to us and saying we should trust you. It's like if you want to open another franchise, but the first one's failed. It's, you know what I mean? That's not what they were doing, but it's a big thing. I think renewals are people coming to us to be authorized. On the whole, over years, it's millions of taxpayer dollars. It's an incredible amount of responsibility for us to open a school or to renew, but ultimately on your board to make sure that people are held accountable all the way down the line. And the other thing I'll say, and I think I expressed this to Commissioner Manus earlier, this has been a remarkably emotional 4 days for me, especially as it relates to Native schools. And learning so much that I had absolutely no idea about, and that probably most people in New Mexico have absolutely no idea about. The hardships you overcome just to get doors open, just to get staff in rural areas. And I don't use the A word very much, but I am in awe of you and the work you do. You're all choked up, and I never get choked up here. No, I never. 3.5 years, I never got all the clamps, ever, once.
Not a single tear in 3
Híjole, what's going on with me? So, but anyway, it's just,
Now, shocked.
I'm excited, and I'm excited for your school. And anything that we can do in the role that we have to help you, just reach out. And I could probably say you have 10 people up here that would just, anything you need to bend over backwards for you. Ever need anything in the legislature for us to go over there and speak on your behalf? I mean, I live up here, it's easier for me, but we'll be there for you. Clearly, I'm in support of your renewal or coming back to the district. And yeah, this has been fantastic. To learn about you has been fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Correa. I'm going to go first. Usually I try to go last, but I'm going to give Commissioner Klosterschillich the final word. Thank you very much for your presentation today and all the work that you put into this prior. I think that I know I'm intimately aware of Dream Diné's history, more than most schools for sure. I have maybe a question, but I just want to give a little bit of commentary and maybe a call to arms for you all. And it comes from a place of love and a place of what I know is possible. First thing I wanted to share is like, I think it's great that Superintendent Carlson was here today to support us taking his school and putting it into our portfolio. I think there's a great opportunity when I think about transportation and I think about food services, since you already receive food services from CCSD. If there is goodwill involved in supporting your school, I think it's a great opportunity to have a conversation with Superintendent Carlson about transportation services as well. And I would like to make myself available to have those conversations as well. The other commissioners would love to probably be part of that too. But I think that's an opportunity that I see. If we bring you to our portfolio, we should have an opportunity to talk about really important things like transportation and how do we get students from other parts of the Shiprock community. Maybe Nashidi might be a little bit too far, but we could get there's opportunities there. And so I think I challenge you to have those conversations and to know that you will have friends to support you in those conversations. For you all, I think that the biggest thing and you have seen such great goodwill from the commission here. I think you've seen a lot of people are in your corner. And I think this is an opportunity. I feel like you all have been in a situation of survival for the last 10 years, like just trying to survive. And it's probably an unequal amount of heaviness that you had to carry to survive. And I know I've walked with many of those steps with the school. But my challenge to you all now is like surviving is done. Now you need to thrive. You need to move into thriving. And there's not going to be any excuse not to start thriving instead of just being in survival mode. And it takes different skills. And I know when you think about trauma-informed instruction, any of us who have had trauma or dysfunction in our lives, it's really hard to get out of survival and getting into thriving. But that's your challenge. And you're bookended by 2 NISN staff members. NISN has your back. Very few schools have a nonprofit organization that provides the services that are Indigenous centered or whatever community they come from centered that has your back in that way. So I challenge you to think about how are you utilizing your resources and moving out of survival, because that's not an excuse anymore. You got to move to thriving. And that's what we're going to expect. And your beautiful children deserve that. I reference this book, my good friend Maida Valtieres, who you probably know from the the Language and Culture Division. She was in the back a few minutes ago, but she gave me this book this week when I was up visiting with her during lunch. That's called "Trying Hard is Not Good Enough." And this really, I haven't even opened the book yet because I've just been contemplating the title. And it's about like what I'm gathering from it without opening it up yet. It's like trying hard is really important. Hard work, you got to check that off the list. That's first things first, right? Work hard. But you also have to think about what are your resources in your community. You have a lot of support from Dodie and other places. And at the end, I think those are the ways that you're going to move from surviving to thriving with no excuses. And so that's the challenge that I have for you all. You obviously see, like, I know that with CCSD, since you never had commissioners, I think you know this, but there was never a signed contract with their current authorizer. That contract was done from Secretary Trujillo, rest in peace, during my first year in Karina's seat back in 2019. And so that stayed in play. And there was really hard to even be recognized as a charter school for much of their time, let alone receive some of the title funds and other funds that flow through districts to district authorized schools. And so again, That's not going to be an excuse anymore. That's not going to be an issue. You're going to be receiving straight funding. And so we are going to expect you all to step up. The governing council, no more excuses in not getting your trainings done or having enough staff or seats filled. That's not an excuse anymore. And that matters. And it's not checking off the box. It's just, we need everyone to be honed in on supporting your students. Eureka Math, I think it's all, I mean, Vice Chair Burt and I were just talking about how awesome of a rigorous program that is. And just thinking about how many people that work for that organization probably would come in and do facilitation trainings if you haven't done it already, more than just the videos that you can get, but like you all can like capitalize on supports there. And so especially with a smaller student body, having more people involved, I think is really good. So I don't want you to shy away from that, but really embrace that and bring more people in. And then finally, the last thing I'll just share in terms of sage advice is capitalizing on the relationships that you have here and with the commissioners, because that's something that's going to be very different than you experienced you may have had some friends at your district level, but you see there's a lot of great friends here. And I don't know how many you've met or talked to directly, but every single person here, we care so deeply about our schools, and we always pick up the phone, and we always try to problem solve ways to move forward. So that, again, is a way of moving from survival and kind of like not bringing anything up so that we can just fly underneath the radar. Like there's a moment where you can't really do that very much, and it doesn't behoove you to do that when you have such goodwill that you see from people. And so I hope that you see that. I hope you see this opportunity based on what I think how the voting is going to go today, to embrace the celebration, and then get to work and see that how do you go from the surviving mode to thriving, because there's a lot of history that you've gone through and that we can now move forward past and really align the beautiful Diné instruction that you have with world-class academics that really open up the doors for your young people. Thank you. Commissioner Kloster-Shillage.
Good afternoon. I'm Sharon Kloster-Shillage, your commissioner for District 5. And I'm Twodakwaja Kintlachini, Bashichin, Sinsakabni Dishiche, Dohashkan Hatzo, Dashanala. My great grandparents are, let's see, my Che are Deschitni, and then my Nulles are Ahni. So that's how I'm a proud Navajo woman. I wasn't looking forward today, to tell you the truth. I was just very nervous. I have my Tylenol 500 ready. I have my little bottle of tequila gold here. And I'll tell you why. First of all, we have a board here who is very, very seasoned in charter schools and very experienced with the function of charter schools. And then we have PED over here, same way. So between us and PED requires a certain amount of translating, of understanding. And then I'm looking at you all, Dream Diné, and I look at that and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, where are we coming from here? Mainly because, and let me explain why I say this, why the Tylenol in my little bottle of tequila gold is because Shiprock is Shiprock in a way is like Santa Fe for natives. We had all the natives, a lot of the paths of natives from the north, south, west, east. The crossroads came here to Santa Fe. Shiprock's the same way. And Shiprock has always been known to have the rowdy Navajos, right? Those of us who are from Shiprock. And there haven't been good stories about us. They're always saying the rowdy ones are from Shiprock. Where are they from? And a lot of times I won't say. And then I marry a man from the other side of Lukachukai, and he's from that side of the mountain. He comes on my side, and we have this rule. Don't say anything about the Navajos, Harry, because you're in my country and I'm in charge, so keep your mouth shut. I mean, So then you look at the population of Navajo. The population of Navajo is comprised of, and you hit it right on the head. We have some Navajos who grew up it wasn't safe to talk Navajo. Then we have other Navajos who didn't give a hoot because they had to talk Navajo because their parents talked Navajo. When they returned, they had to talk, but they hid it as well. So you look at that and what came out of that. Then we also have the reason Shiprock's known to have radical Navajos is because then we have what they referred to in the 60s as coalitions, or as we Navajos said, goligis. We had all the goligis in other words, AIM and all the Indian movement people. They all converged on Navajo. We had Russell Means, we had you get the flavor of what I'm trying to say. They were all there. And so what do we have in Shiprock? We have the remnants of all of that. We have the radical Navajos, we have the ones who are kind of sort of traditional, then we have the ones who are blending everything together, and that's now tradition. Then we have the ones who are products of parents who just were told you do not talk Navajo. So their children aren't Navajo speakers, and you get a lot of those children. So now we're trying to figure out, okay, then bilingual education came. Okay, so how are we supposed to do that? Now it's okay to talk Navajo? I mean, there's that transition. So, but the dominant population in Navajo are the radical Navajos. You hear Arizona Navajos talking about us. You hear the Navajos down here at Socorro talking about us. We're radical, so they say. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, I've tried going to your school. Every time I've gone, there was a holiday and I even went to a reception that you all were having at Navajo Prep. Went there and the security said, there's nothing going on here for Dream Navajo. And I kept saying, there is, but there is tonight. I have to be there. Nope, there's nothing going on. Well, so I left. So I'm looking at that and because I wanted to see who was running the school. I needed to know, are these radical Navajos? Are these Navajos who are just learning about their culture? Are these silent Navajos who are being very cautious and being pleasers of the federal rules and regs, state rules and regs? There are those Navajos too. So it's like, who is running this school? So I was, you all know our late Navajo Nation president, Albert Hale. Okay. Before he died, we lost Albert Hale to COVID. And he was my boss when I worked in Washington, D.C. So this was just before he died, a few weeks before he died, I asked him, I said, what are charter schools? Tell me, you're the president. Tell me, what are charter schools? And this is how he explained it to me. He said, well, there was this Navajo parent who went up to this educated person and they started this conversation. The educated person turned to the Navajo and said, so you know how many days are in a year, right? It's 365. And the Navajo say, oh. So then the educated person said, you know how many days in a week, right? 7. And then the Navajo parent said, oh. So then the educated person said, how many seconds in a year? And the Navajo parent said, 12. So he said, 12? 12 seconds in a year? And so the Navajo parent said, you mean you don't know that there are 12 seconds in a year? You're educated. What's wrong with you? And so the educated person said, well, explain to me then. He goes, easy. January 2nd, February 2nd, March 2nd, April 2nd. He goes all the way, he says 12 seconds. You said seconds. He goes, oh. So then Albert Hale to me says, that's charter schools. That's what they're having to do. They're having to correct the thinking. And so I stood there and I said, oh my gosh, you're right, I see. And I said, that's also bilingual ed. He says, yep, that's what that is. And he said, remember that. That's what charter schools are doing. He said, they're out there, and what's nice is a lot of our Navajo educated people are there. So today, that's been wonderful for me, meeting you all. Because you are products, in my view, looking at you, you are products of parents who believed in education. You are parents of products who wanted the best for their children. You are products then now who are educating the children of the parents who weren't allowed to talk Navajo. Am I correct on that? Okay, good. So I was relieved, but I was still thinking, oh my gosh, what about the gunners in our committee? What about the ones who are really immersed and know about charter schools and are looking at you thinking, okay, but they don't have this, they don't have that, they don't have this. So as we kept talking and I was listening to everyone, I realized, you know what, there is an understanding here. There is an understanding here. So I can leave my Tylenol alone, but I will drink my tequila. Okay. So I'm looking at this and I'm so happy and I'm so proud of you all because you have a big job. And Albert Hale is correct. Am I correct? I mean, what he told me charter schools really is what you're doing. And Andrea, you've never said this to me, but I know you had a difficult time at Central Consolidated. You survived so much at that school. And I'm just so glad that I heard that you received the recommendations that you received from the board, and that was become a feeder school. I mean, you're already a feeder school. I mean, look at who is feeding into your school, but then build from there. And it can happen. I mean, I look at where you all are and I think, my husband gets really upset when we go to the chapter and because where we park, you're right there. Your fence is right there. And I told him, I said, well, they're a public school. He said, if I were I wish not Chapman, I wish the superintendent was still on because my husband says, if they're still a public school, I would be really embarrassed that the administration being right across the street is allowing this to happen. What kind of educators do they have? You know, he's correct. He is correct. This is his solution for a place for you all to live. His solution, and this came out of anger when we were parked there. I was waiting to go into the chapter house, and he said, you know what they ought to do? When you go back to your commission, tell them that you have a solution and this is it. He said, tell them to have the administration move to, that school that's vacant that they now use for conference rooms in Kirtland. He said, have the administration move over there, have them exit out of there, and Dream Diné can move into the, where the administration is. He said, there's a gym there, there's a track there. I mean, they would save so much money if they did that. And I was sitting there I said, yeah, right, Harry, I'm gonna go and I'm going to make that recommendation and think that is gonna unfold. He said, it makes sense. And I said, Harry, how many things that make sense actually unfold that way? But wouldn't that be great though? If that did happen, doesn't that make sense? Yeah, and look at how much money they'd save. Then they'd have all their rooms occupied and we'd have a house for Dream Diné. So I am so pleased, I'm so happy with you all, and I am so happy that you are not radical Navajos. As my uncle would say, they're not part of the Go Lizzie bunch. So I'm really happy about that. And I'm so relieved, like I said, to see what kind of people are running Dream Diné. And so I am going to make a recommendation. Can I?
Please proceed, Commissioner.
All right. I moved that the Public Education Commission approve the application for Dream Diné Charter Schools for a 5-year term, 2024 through 2029, with the following conditions. Number 1, that by March 1st, 2024, the school complete a PEC-approved transition year checklist. Number 2, that the school improve individual student academic growth, beginning with specific immediate action to correct student academic growth that is presently below state standards, and report data from the school's assessment back to PEC by the June PEC meeting each year. And number 3, that the school's record of performance demonstrate A, student academic growth, and B, oversight by a trained, legally compliant governing board that operates as required by the Open Meetings Act. The specific immediate actions needed on items 3A and B above will be outlined in the school's negotiated performance framework. The first annual report will confirm completion of each item, or if the concern is not corrected, will identify the uncorrected, unsatisfactory performance on each item that will be subject to further PEC action.
Second.
Okay. We have a second to the motion. Thank you, commissioners. Briefly, any discussion before we move on?
I have a ask for a friendly amendment. So because this school technically isn't on our contract term right now, and they won't be until July 1 of next year, I would just ask that there's a friendly amendment that it's by July meeting. That way, July 1 comes, they're under our contract, and we'll see you at our July meeting.
Okay. I approve. Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Commissioner. Seeing no other discussion, let's take a roll call vote, please. Vice Chair.
Commissioner Kloshachillich,
Absolutely.
Commissioner Carrillo,
Absolutely.
Chair Brower,
Yes.
Commissioner Beck,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Absolutely.
Commissioner Gibson,
Yes.
Commissioner Manus,
Yes.
Commissioner Ingham,
Very proud to say absolutely.
and Vice Chair Burt, absolutely. So that is approved 9-0. Congratulations.
Congratulations. We look forward to working with y'all as you transition, especially. I know the CSD team will be working with you also during that time, especially around the transition year checklist that you'll be receiving, or you have received already. And best wishes on your travel home. Commissioners and public, we will be recessing until tomorrow at 9 a.m. Enjoy that extra hour in the morning.